writers. So I wanted to tell you that this is our second time of meeting for writing workshop. And every time we do writing workshop, we will always start with something called a mini lesson. And I will always be teaching you something that writers do often, and I will show you how to do it, and then later you can do it too. So right now during this part of the writing workshop, the mini lesson, you're just mostly listening, and then later you get to try it. And when you go to try it, you can try some of the things that I just taught you and showed you today, but you can also try to remember all of the things from the earlier days that I've taught you and try to use some of those writing tips too. So, how many of you told somebody in your house that you are a writer? Yesterday, I told you that you are all writers, and I hope that some of you told your family that you are a writer. And you know what would be fun is if you got one of them to be a writer too, so that you could be writers together. And that way, you could tell them all of the tips that I told you about how to be a writer. So, if you were going to tell one of your family members what a writer does, what were some of the things that we learned yesterday about what writers do? Let's think about it. Or maybe not yesterday, but last time. Well, I remember that last time we did writing workshop, we talked about that writers write what they know about. So that would be a really good tip for you to tell your family member. You could tell them that writers write what they know about, and everybody knows about a lot of things, and people know about all kinds of things. So one person might know a lot about something that somebody else doesn't know anything about that. So we can really learn from each other. So that would be a good thing to tell your family member about what writers do if you were teaching them how to be a writer like you. Writers also really try to plan out what they're going to write and picture what they want their story to be about. So you can take time to picture the whole thing in your head and think of all the details that you can think of before you actually put drawings and writing down on paper. Okay, there's another thing. The thing that I want to teach you about writers today is that there's something that writers say, and that is this. After a writer writes about a topic, they don't just say, I'm done, and they just relax. No. They say, I'm going to look back on my writing and see if I can add more to it. Writers revise. Can you say revise? That means that you look back on your writing and you think, is there anything more that I can add or maybe change? And they also say, when we are done, we've just begun. Because a person doesn't write a book in one day in 10 minutes. It takes a long time to write a book. So the story that you started yesterday, most likely you could add more. You didn't finish. You could reread it and think, is there anything else I could add? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. What else do I know that I could add to my story? So I want to show you mine from yesterday or last time. You remember that I was drawing about my garden. Well, now that I'm looking at it, I have some details, but really, there's a lot of empty space here. I think I could add some more. I mean, what else do gardens have? They definitely have bugs. Maybe I'll add some bugs in the garden. And I use tools when I'm gardening. I definitely use my hands, but I use a lot of tools too. So I think I'll add a broom and a rake and some gloves. I use my gloves a lot. I even have a kneeling pad for when I'm pulling weeds because you have to get down on the ground and it kind of hurts your knees after a while. Okay, my lawn, it has sprinklers. I'm going to add a sprinkler, but this doesn't really look like a lawn right now. It just kind of looks like a blank spot on my paper. Oh, maybe I can make it look like the sprinklers are on. And I forgot that I have a little baby lemon tree that my friend gave me. It's still very small, but it's starting to get leaves and little lemon blossoms. And over here, I have some furniture for us to sit on when we're sitting outside. And the little table and an umbrella. Maybe you're thinking that you have some of these things in your yard. I think it's starting to look more full already with lots of details. So, today when you're writing in your writing journal, I want you to go back to your story that you started the other day and look at it and really look at it and look at the pictures and think, do you have all the details that you could really have? Is that everything that you could do? Or maybe you could add more. Maybe when you really take the time to think about it like writers do, they really take their time and they really picture lots of details. They can think about what they can add and they can revise their story and add more and more. And remember, when we are done, we've just begun. So go ahead and go back to that story and work hard. You don't need to start a new page. You can go back and see what can you add to the one from yesterday. Okay? That's what we're going to do today.